I had never talked to God because I blamed God for this abuse. When my mother passed away, there was a downstairs neighbor that my dad would leave me when she was hospitalized at times, so she moved with us when my mom passed away. My dad sat me down and was like, she's going to be living with us. I had to be woken up at 3-4 in the morning when my dad would leave to work because he had 2 jobs, and she told me I could not go to school unless the house was clean. And I remember that if I didn't finish cleaning, I would get a beating and I would have to stay home cleaning all day. So I remember that I told myself, you have to clean the house so you can go to school, because school was kind of like my freedom. She started putting my hands in the stove, which now that's why my hands are very hard. I remember that she would hit me with wires, she would throw my face in the wall, and she never treated her son that way. It was always me. So I never knew why I was the target of that abuse. So that was my life until about the age of 15. I was told that I can get a job. I tried to get a job at a retail store and I did start working there, but her controlling ways just kept following me around, and she would call my job to make sure I was at work and what time I will get out. So I really had no way of escape, and I didn't know why my life was like that. I always questioned, like, why am I living like this? This is not life. So out of that marriage, my dad also had 2 separate kids with her. None of them got treated that way. It was always me. When I graduated, I tried to date. It was my first boyfriend, so he knew that I was going through the abuse. We had an on and off relationship for 4 years. Out of those 4 years, I had my daughter. I had a daughter. When my daughter was 2 years old, I did have a cousin that would help me watch her while I worked. And this cousin started noticing that my stepmother would try and take control of my daughter at the age of 2. Like, she would tell her, oh, I'm gonna watch her child. You just clean the house. And I was like, this cannot be happening in my head. At that time, my stepbrother, her son, was like, you need to pay more rent. You need to start paying more rent because you have a daughter. You're using twice the water, twice the food, etc. And I was like, I can't, because if I get 2 jobs, I won't have time with my daughter. It's not fair. So that's when I felt I had to make a decision. I had a coworker that was going through a divorce, and she offered me to move in with her. I took that opportunity and I said, okay, this is my only way. I'm going to risk it because I didn't want my daughter to go through that. And literally, I remember that the day when I was going to move, it was a weekend, and I had never talked to God because I blamed God for this abuse. You know, to that point, I always said there's no God. I literally hated God. I always told myself he's not real. So I remember that I was afraid to leave, so I did this prayer in the corner of the room before I left. And I said, God, I don't know who you are. I don't know if you exist. But if you do, I need you to help me. I am going to leave this house, and I don't ever want to come back to this abuse. So I need you to help me.